What is up guys, Kartaka here, and today I'm here with another Digimon deck profile. Today we'll be going over the Pulsemon deck from BT-17. So this is a pure Pulsemon deck. I just wanted to build this simply because I wanted to have a deck that uses the pure Pulsemon line and not a mix of Lugamon and Pulsemon. So this deck is not as explosive as a hybrid version would be, like with the Lugamon stuff, but I think that's like still pretty fun. I quite like all the variety we have with the Pulsemon line. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into the deck profile. So for the Digitamas, we are running 4 of the Digimon from BT-17. This card's pretty good. It lets you get 1 memory whenever you put a card in put a Tamer in this card's source. So it's a pretty easy way to just get memory for no reason. And it helps out with the rest of your plays. So we're running 4 Digimons. Next, so this Pulsemon is the SR Pulsemon from BT-17. So at the start of main phase, you can put a Leon Alexander from your hand into this card's source. And then if you have 3 or more security, you can get 1 memory. If you have 2 or fewer security, you can recover 1. So it's pretty good. Just lets you go with the game plan. You want to hover around 3 security for this build, so this is one of the ways that you can do it. Next, we are running 4 of the Pulsemon from BT-16. So this is on playability. You can look at top 4. You can grab a Pulsemon card in its text, as well as a Abaddon Electronics trait to your hand. So pretty much you can grab a Tamer as well as a Pulsemon card, so it's pretty good. A Pulsemon text card, to be clear. So this works similarly to Gamamon. Since most of the Pulsemon line doesn't actually have Pulsemon in it, it's going to rely on having the Pulsemon text. So keep that in mind. Same goes with evolutions. Next, we're running 3 of the promo Pulsemon. This is the Pulsemon that lets you get 1 draw if you have 3 or more security, and if you have 3 or less security, you can get 1 memory. So you can run Ukomon if you want instead, but since I do want to run a pure Pulsemon deck, we are running the promo Pulsemon instead. But I was actually experimenting with this one as well, because it comes in handy sometimes, but I feel like for the most part, the draw 1 and memory gain is more beneficial when you are on playing. But if you feel like you're dying more often than you should and you don't have barrier up for some reason, you can have this just to give you jamming when you're at 3 security. But for the most part, the Tamers, which we're going to go over now, will help you keep you alive during your battles. So we're running 3 of the Leon Alexander from BT-17. So if you have Pulsemon text card, you can get 1 memory at the start of your main phase, and then you can mind link to a Pulsemon text card, and then the inherent ability is to gain blocker as well as barrier if you have if the card has Pulsemon in its text. So barrier will act sort of like jamming, except you do have the trash security, but in this deck it might actually benefit you more than harm you. So I feel like the barrier is a little bit more useful than the jamming, and that's why I'm running this Pulsemon instead of that one, because most of the time you will be mind linked ready, so you're going to have that barrier up. So there is that, and then we're also running 4 of the memory setter, Leon Alexander, or Hacker Judge. So this works the same, except instead of getting memory if you have a Pulsemon card in the field, it's just a memory setter. So running 3-3. I think 3-3 is enough. If you don't think it's enough, you can bump them up by 1 in a slot that we'll talk about later. But those are all the Tamers. We're just talking about the Tamers first, just so that we're getting the core of the deck out of the way. Next, we're going to be running 4 of the Bulkmons. So for the Bulkmon, if you on evolution, if you have 3 or more security, you can give one of your opponents minus 3000 DP. And if you have 3 or fewer security, you can suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. So kind of works for the yellow and the green effects. So it's pretty cool. And then on all turns, whenever a card is trashed from security, if you have Leon Alexander in this card's source, you can recover 1. So this is another way you can recover. Pretty stonks. And the inheritability is just to give 1k to your Pulsemon text cards. So not bad, and it works on both turns. So if you are blocking, it also works, because keep in mind, Hacker Judge gives you blocker. Next, we are going to be running 4 of the Namakemon. So on play and evolution, if you have 3 or more security, one of your Digimon cannot have its DP reduced by opponent's effect and cannot be Digivolved. If you have 3 or fewer security, one of your Digimon gets blocked and reboot. So what this card is in here for is mostly for the first part of the effect, where you can get DP minus protection, as well as the Digivolve protection. There's actually not that many cards with the Digivolve protection in the game, so being able to have that is actually pretty good. And yeah, minus DP is the other annoying one. So you're pretty good. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of this doesn't target itself. It doesn't have to target itself. So if you cast this, you can cast it to a different Digimon on the board. So you can give it protection there, which is really, really nice. And the inheritability also just gives you 1k. So there's that. And we're also running 3 of the Runnermons. So on play, you can, if you have 3 or more security, you can suspend one of your Digimon. If you have 3 or fewer, you can gain 1 memory. And then while this Digimon has Pulsemon, for the inheritability, it gets 1k, so pretty much the same. If I had the Extramon, I'll probably run the Extramon in this deck, but I wasn't able to get my hands on it yet, which is why this deck has been delayed for a bit, just because I haven't had it in my arsenal. But I think Extramon is a really good alternative to the Runnermon. So the Extramon's ability is to, if you have 3 or more security, on evolution you can suspend one of your Digimon or Tamers, and then if you have 3 or fewer, one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers cannot unsuspend. And then on both players' turn, for the inheritability, this Digimon becomes, if this card becomes suspended, one of your opponent's Digimon with as much or less DP also becomes suspended, which I think that inheritability is better than having them plus 1k. But for the, if you have a hard time grabbing the Extramons, then running the Runnermon is a nice alternative. But in a future build, I'll probably, once I get my hands on the Extramon, I'll probably run that instead. So there's that. Next, we're running 4 of the Bulkmon from BT-17. This is a really strong new level 5 that we got. So on both players' turns, when this Digimon would leave the battle area by an opponent's effect by trashing the top card of security stack to prevent it from leaving. And then the second effect is whenever a effect trashes cards from security, you can, if you have Leon in source, you can Digivolve into a Pulsemon without paying its cost. So really, really good. And then the inheritability is at the end of attack, if you have Pulsemon text card, you can trash the top card of security to unsuspend. So yeah, it just lets you go for extra attacks, which is really nice. And next, we are also running 3 of the Clymon. So Clymon is pretty good as well. So its ability is when Digivolving, if you have 3 or more security cards, you can draw 2, then discard 1. If you have 3 or fewer security cards, you can play a Digimon with 6,000 or less and a Pulsemon text from your trash without paying its cost. So it has to fulfill both those conditions. And then at the end of your opponent's turn, you have to delete that Digimon. So calling that is pretty good for 2 reasons. Being 6k, you can target most of your level 4s. Actually, you can target all of your level 4s and 3s, but we can also target Pistimon, which is on play and on evolution. If you have 3 or more security, you have 3 or more security cards, suspending one opponent's Digimon, and that Digimon can unsuspend during your opponent's next unsuspend phase. And then if you have 3 or fewer security cards, you can get 2 memory. So this is a target for your climb on because this is 6k. So this is a level 5 body on the board that you can use for blast evolutions on your opponent's turn. And if you don't want to, you can use this option to shove it back into security, which lets you survive for a bit longer. So it's pretty good. But yeah, most of the time you'll be targeting. If you have this, you can target this. If not, then you can target some of the other ones. Bulkmon's a pretty good option. Namakimon's pretty good as well. You just have a lot of really good targets. Just because this one gives you protection, and this one gives you recovery if you need it. So yeah, both pretty good. And then moving on to level 6s, we are running 2 of the Kazuchimon from BT-17. So this is the new Kazuchimon that we got. We're not using it for the main reason people are running it now, and that's the Family Luga. But it's still a pretty decent card on its own. So at the end of so on evolution, you can suspend one opponent's Digimon, and if you have Leo Alexander in the source, all your opponent's Digimon gain minus -1 security check at the end of turn, which is similar to the Venusmon effect. So it's just good for stalling overall. And then at the end of your turn, once per turn, if you have 3 or more security cards, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 6k for a turn. Then if you have 3 or fewer security cards, then you can get recovery +1. And then one of your Digimon may attack an opponent's Digimon. So pretty good. It's pretty good. Because then you can minus 6k, and then you can also do an attack. So running 2 of those. Considering if I want to bump this up by 1, but for now I'm running a even split of Boutmons and the Kazuchimons. So Boutmon is a bit older card compared to the Kazuchimon. So this is from BT-16 on evolution. And at the end of attack, once per turn, if you have 3 or more security cards, you can one opponent's Digimon gets minus 7,000 for a turn. And then if you have 3 or fewer security cards, delete one of your opponent's unsuspended Digimon. And then on all turns, when this Digimon would leave the battle area by an opponent's effect, if you have 3 or more security cards, by trashing the top card of security, you can prevent it from leaving play. And on deletion, you can recover 1 until you have 3 security. So this card is not horrible. With the new Namekamon, you can make this card pretty much invulnerable because it'll be immune to Digivolve, immune to DP-, and it can't leave the battle area by effects. And you also probably have barrier, so he's pretty much invulnerable. So he's pretty good. So yeah, running 2 Boutmons. So next we are running 2 of the Shivamon Ace from LMO3, I believe. The effect is on evolution and on play. If you have 3 or more security cards, you can suspend 1 Digimon, and then one of your opponent's Digimon gets one of your Digimon gets 3,000 DP until the end of opponent's turn. And then if you have 3 or fewer security cards, return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon to the bottom of the deck. So it's pretty strong. And then when this card is suspended, it is not affected by your opponent's Digimon. So it gives you a little bit more protection. So this deck is actually, the Digimon in this deck is pretty tanky, pretty beefy, immune to a lot of things. So there's a lot of protection in this deck. The main problem this deck has is it doesn't have, it's not really like an OTK deck where you can burst down your opponent, like the Family Luga version of the build. But I think this deck is pretty good at turtling and just playing control, just minusing your opponent a little by little. Because by the most part, if you minus it by 6,000 and you attack into it, you're pretty much going to be able to beat over anything. So that's kind of how one of the ways that you get rid of your opponent's Digimon. And then let's move on to the option cards. So we are running 4 Hacker's Pride. So Hacker's Pride is the consistency booster for the deck. So for 3 costs, the main effect is reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, and then add 1 card with Pulsemon as text to your hand, and then return the rest to the bottom. Then place this card in the battle area. And then the delay effect is by placing the top card by placing the top of your level 4 or higher Digimon with Pulsemon and text to the top of your security stack, you can get 2 memory back. So this works kind of like the Digimon yourself. So by placing the top card of one of your level 4 or higher Digimon, if you play hardcast it with the Climon, you can. But also, if you just Digivolve normally up and you kind of want to switch your level 5s, you can just put that in your security stack and Digivolve to something else as well. So it kind of works as a way to kind of like form change, which is pretty good because you get 2 memory back, which isn't a full refund for level 5, but it's good enough. You can also do it for level 4s. So yeah, it's pretty good. Also kind of use this to kind of game your security. So if you normally wouldn't hit the condition for 3 security, if you use this and then put that security, put that Digimon to your security and then you get the right amount, you'll be able to prepare for your opponent's turn when you are doing for your blast evolutions or some of the other effects you have. So pretty good. And then we're also running 3 Blinding Light. So this is here because it's actually really important for this deck. So the effect is to trash the top card of security to gain 2 memory. So by trashing your security, you can once again game your security to adjust it to a level that you want. If you want to stay at 3, this is one of the cards that can help you do it. It also helps you proc the card, proc the effect for Beltmon. So if you use this, you can use Beltmon's ability to Digivolve into your Kazuchimon or your Beltmon. So yeah, it's pretty good. Sorry, Shroudmon. You can Digivolve into Shroudmon. I've been calling Shroudmon Beltmon, but yeah, its name is Shroudmon. And then we're also running one of the Thunder Flame Crusher. So this is a option card from BT-17. So this card is interesting option to run. I'm kind of experimenting with it. So when you have a Digimon or Tamer with Pulsemon and text, you can use this card without playing its color requirements. And then when you will use this card by trashing the top card of security stack until you have at least 3 security cards, you can reduce the cost by 2 for each trashed. And then the main ability is to delete one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon. And then if you have 2 or fewer security cards, you can put this to the bottom of your security stack. So this card is good just because if you are at 5 and you use this to get rid of your opponent's level 5s because you don't want them to blast evolve, you're pretty much only paying 2 costs for it because you'll be trashing 2 security to go to 3 and you'll be minusing 4 costs. So being able to revolve a level 5 for 2 costs is pretty strong. And if other times if you are below if you're using this at 2 or lower security, you can just kind of do a pseudo recovery, which is really nice. So I'm trying this at 1 because the security effect is useful as well. It gives one of your opponent's Digimon minus 15k for the turn, which does make a difference sometimes. So yeah, that's pretty much the main deck. So these cards are kind of flexible. I would recommend at least running 2 Blinding Lights just because it is so beneficial for the deck. But you can kind of use this as flex slots. You can run more level 4s if you want, run more level 3s if you want, run more level 6s if you want, run more Tamers if you want. But that's kind of like the flex slot. But I'm personally running this ratio just because I feel like this is the most consistent way to run it, especially since we're not running the traditional consistency boosters. But these ones work just as well, if not better in some situations. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this deck, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Sorry for not making a Femiluga Pulsemon version of the deck, just because I don't feel like building 2 decks that are using the same win con. So that's why I'm using a pure Pulsemon deck. And it is a fun deck. If you guys try this out, I think you guys will like it. But for the level 6s, it's kind of up to you guys because we actually have a lot of Pulsemon level 6s that we can run. There's also the Achillemon that you can run. I don't think it's super great, but you guys can try it out. And there's lots of level 5s and 4s that you can also run as well that we haven't showcased. Actually, more level 5s, I guess. Level 4s we're pretty much all here. But like Tempomon, Divemon, you guys can try those out. Shootmon. There's lots of options that you guys can experiment with. But oh yeah, overall the deck is pretty fun. I hope it does get more support in the future. It is kind of a shame that we only got support for it once Leon Alexander here became a character in Seekers, so that it makes Pulsemon kind of relevant in the Digimon universe. You know, people were pretty hype about Pulsemon during the Vital Bracelet era, but since that project is not really supported right now, it's a shame that it's not getting more love. But I feel like the Pulsemon line is super interesting, and there's a lot more they can do with it. I quite like the mechanic of staying at 3 security to maximize your effects. Kind of makes planning for your plays pretty interesting, and it also gives a little bit of pressure on your opponent, because if they can't kill you in one turn, they kind of don't want to leave you at 3, because 3 is a pretty dangerous number. Even leaving it at 4 is kind of dangerous as well, because they don't know if you have blinding light in your hand just to ruin their day. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this deck, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Sorry if I sound a little bit tired. It's been a rough couple of days just because I've been sick. So yeah. Alright, this is Karahaku, and I will see you guys next time.